Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at episodes 21 through 24 of Swallowed Star. We're at the end of the century. A mysterious virus known as the RR virus appears in Earth's atmosphere, killing 2 billion people and mutating animals into monsters. In an attempt to destroy these monsters, the governments of the world used nuclear weapons. While the monsters survived, human civilization was all but wiped out. 5 nations survived and formed an alliance, providing shelter for humanity in large bases. Much like the animals of Earth, the humans have also gained powers, allowing some of them to become warriors, humanity's defenders against the monsters that plague the planet. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be sure you don't miss the next episodes. Luo Feng is informed that the elite training camp he'll be attending has a name among the warriors who know of it: War God Preparation Camp, as 90% of the people who attend go on to become gods of war. He's then informed that the other 10% are disabled or die during the camp. Attending the camp is a priceless honor, and even the most influential people cannot buy their way into it. If he wants to attend, however, he has to pass the B-level test, which is extremely difficult. Luo Feng is told to say goodbye to his friends and family because he'll only get 2 months off during the 5-year training camp. Director Zhuge introduces him to a young trainee named Heng Jia and asks him to escort the young trainee. On his way home, he thinks of his parents, brother, friend, and Zhu Jin, and how he won't be seeing them for a very long time. The next day, he goes out and sees his friend Wen attempting to hand out flyers for a fast food restaurant, but no one is taking them. He greets Wen and they embrace. The two talk about how Wen joined the military academy because he thought it would help improve his skills enough to become a warrior. Luo Feng transfers $1 million into his account and tells him he can't waste his time on part-time jobs if he really wants to get good enough to be a warrior, and makes him promise to pay him back when he becomes a warrior. They part ways, so Luo Feng can go on a date with Zhu Jin. He picks her up, and as they leave, the 2 girls Zhu Jin was standing near call a mysterious man and inform him of what's going on. He promises her a new bag if she does her job well. Zhu Jin congratulates Luo Feng and tells him she knows he'll be a god of war, but the girl who'd called the mysterious man grabs Luo Feng's arm and pretends to have gone on a date with him the day before. But Zhu Jin steps in and tells her that he is her boyfriend and that she must be mistaken. The girl scurries off, and both Zhu Jin and Luo Feng are embarrassed, but pleased that she called him her boyfriend. He tells her that if he gets good enough to be a god of war, he will leave training camp before the 5 years. But she tells him that he has to stay, as it will give him a chance to learn, and that she'll be there waiting for him when he gets back. They embrace and part ways, and on his way back, Luo Feng is confronted by the mysterious man and his entourage. The man introduces himself as Wang Jingping, from the extremely influential Wang family, which is one of the 9 core families of the Alliance. He tells Luo Feng to stay away from Zhu Jin. He introduces his 4 bodyguards, 3 of them being intermediate senior warriors, and the largest being an advanced senior warrior. Luo Feng believes he can defeat them, but remembers that the Paulinus family is already hunting him down. He's unsure if he can win without using spirit energy, which he would need to do to avoid arousing suspicion from the Paulinus clan. He decides to fight them anyway, and hopes he can win without spirit energy, when Heng Jia shows up and greets Wang Jingping, calling him brother. Heng Jia begins excitedly telling his brother that Luo Feng is the senior who is looking out for him, and that he is so good that he'll be going to the elite training camp. Wang Jingping is furious, as the Wang family tried to buy their way into that camp for 50 billion. He explains that Luo Feng is even strong enough to fight a giant rock bear, shocking the Wang bodyguards. Wang Jingping apologizes and lets Luo Feng go. Later, we see Luo Feng saying goodbye to his family as he departs for the elite training. On the plane ride there, it is explained to Luo Feng that no king beast dares attack the city they are headed to, and it's the safest in all the world, because that's where Hong, the strongest man in the world, lives. They arrive at the elite training camp, and Luo Feng locks eyes with the enormous dragon statue that surrounds it. The world vanishes around him, and he is immobilized. The statue begins to move towards him, and he takes a step back, breaking out of the trance. Luo Feng Feng is told that Hong killed a real dragon and that the eyes in the sculpture are from that dragon, placed there to guard the training camp and remind the students that someday they will be responsible for killing monsters that powerful. The fighting ability of the students is ranked below it, and the students' faces pass by on holograms in the order of their skill. If a student is ranked in the bottom three times, they are eliminated. Luo Feng is introduced to Inspector Wang, who will be conducting his test. Luo Feng straps into a virtual reality pod like he did during the Warrior to Be test. Inspector Wang shows him the test tower, a 7-tiered tower where each floor is harder than the last. He explains that he can get to the 5th floor, and Hong, the founder, can get to the 6th floor, so no one has ever made it to the 7th floor. Inspector Wang wishes him luck and leaves the virtual world. The test begins and Luo Feng must kill 100 wild bull monsters within 30 minutes. Luo Feng has taken out wild buffalo monsters before and he thinks he can handle it, but ends up getting trampled on. He realizes that in the virtual world, his physical abilities have been weakened. He tries to summon his shield telekinetically, but his spirit energy is also not working. Instructor Wang explains to the commissioner that everyone who takes the test gets reset to their base level of ability to test how they do with limited bad conditions. Luo Feng figures this out quickly and begins to kill the monsters, using micro-bodily movements to attack and counterattack the monsters. Outside the virtual world, Inspector Wang says the only way to win would be if he used perfect bodily movements, using every piece of the environment, even the smaller stone, to avoid attacks. Luo Feng tries to use his 9 thundering saber techniques and advanced weapon to make up for his lack of physical abilities, but he begins to quickly fatigue himself, as he does not possess the strength and stamina he normally would. Luo Feng moves in to attack, and the world around him slows. He hears the breath of the wild bulls, the breath of the grass and stones. Everything around him seems to be breathing as one whole, and Inspector Wang smiles. Luo Feng has mastered perfect bodily movement. He easily passes the test and is brought out of the virtual world, asking for more bulls to see if he can improve his bodily movements even more. The commissioner informs him that he should no longer call him commissioner, but instead should call him teacher, as he is also a teacher at the training camp, something he kept a secret from him until this moment. He gets to choose the last 2 digits of his student number and has flashbacks to all the times the numbers 03 were important to him. City 003, the 30 billion for the water of life, and Zhu Zhen's birthday. We cut to the Paulinus clan leaders. Vanina Paulinus informs her husband that Luo Feng has just been entered into the elite training camp. He was already a suspect due to being such a high-level warrior at such a young age. The head of the Paulinus clan asks if he is a spirit master, and she says she's unsure, but she has friends in the training camp. We cut back to Luo Feng, happily walking, getting along well with the other warriors, until he bumps into a blonde man in a Paulinus clan-colored outfit. The two say nothing to one another, but the man glares, and they go their separate ways. The commissioner explains to Luo Feng that he'll be leaving the city with the other 2 students from his city. One of them is a student who is so strong that even he's not sure he could beat him. This student is named Xi Shang, and he encourages Luo Feng to get close to him in order to learn. He goes on to explain that Xi Shang is in the top 5 students, and that any student in the top 30 is as strong as a god of war. The commissioner calls Xi Shang and the girl student living with them, Xiao Ruo, to come meet Luo Feng. Xiao Ruo, who seems to be both peppy and flirtatious, tells the commissioner not to worry about Luo Feng, since she'll take care of him while he's there. The 2 seniors prepare drinks for themselves and Luo Feng and sit down to chat. They begin to explain the point system for ranking students. It's a combination of battle points, which is earned through the monsters they kill, and combat power, which is determined by multiplying your punching power by the tower level you've completed. Meanwhile, the man in the Paulinus colors Luo Feng bumped into earlier receives a call from his aunt, Vanina Paulinus. She explains their suspicions about Luo Feng and asks him to determine if he's a spirit master or not. Candace, Vanina's nephew, tells his roommate William that he needs a favor. We cut back to Luo Feng, who is training against a computer opponent. The computer opponent outclasses Luo Feng, but as they fight, his strength increases. She simply increases her own strength, and as they continue to fight, she alters the arena with a snap of of her fingers. It begins to crumble and shift as large slabs appear out of the corner as well as fall down. She laughs at him as he fails to hit her again. The computer opponent sends blocks blasting at Luo Feng, and when he destroys them and rushes her, she turns them into spears, and they fly after him. His final punch before being skewered registers off the charts, and he defeats her just before he can be pierced, ending the simulation. He happily notes that thanks to the resources at the training camp, he has mastered the power-generating method of the 9 Thundering Sabers and increased his punching power by 2.8 times. When he returns back home, Zhao Ruo tells him all of the seniors will be coming to a party to welcome him to the training camp. He mingles and has a good time as everyone is genuinely nice and happy to welcome him there. Candace and William watch him from a balcony, and Zhao Ruo tells him that Senior Chu Qiang, the number 2 ranked student in the camp, paid for the luxurious welcome party, and that they'll make a toast to him later to thank him for it. She walks away just as William comes by to offer him cake. William tells him that he is from Europa, and that he's always been curious about the martial arts of Hangxia, Luo Feng's home nation. He asks Luo Feng if he wants to challenge him, explaining there's a challenge room in the tower where students usually bet some kind of stake, but he would rather they just learn from each other rather than bet something. Zhao Ruo and Xi Shang interrupt, telling William that he shouldn't be trying to take Luo Feng's money just because he's new. William assures them that they would just be learning and not betting anything. He tells them that his friend claims Hangxia's martial arts are not as good as everyone claims, but he believes they are and wants Luo Feng to prove it. Despite knowing this is an obvious bait, Luo Feng feels he needs to protect his nation's honor and accepts. Luo Feng doubles down, saying it's no fun without stakes, and wagers 5 billion. William happily accepts, much to Zhao Ruo's dismay. Chu Qiang comes over and commends Luo Feng for not being intimidated by an older student. He goes as far as to tell Luo Feng that when his training is over, if he ever wants to join the military, just to come to him. Back at their home, Zhao Ruo angrily yells at Luo Feng. Xi Zhang and Luo Feng both remind her that everyone in the training academy is a genius and that Luo Feng may yet have a shot to beat William. She warns him that if he loses, she'll be angry at him, but gives her blessing. We then see the Paulinus clan head telling Vanina that he will watch the match himself. Murderous intent glows in his eyes before we cut back to the training camp, where the students begin discussing who they think will win. Inside the virtual challenge room, William and Luo Feng pick their weapons, and the Paulinus clan leader notes that the flying knives Luo Feng picked, along with his sword, are a common weapon for spirit masters. William is smug and cocky, but also incredibly quick, going from standing at ease to attacking, taking the lead in the fight. As the fight goes on, William drives Luo Feng closer and closer to losing. William disarms Luo Feng, and everyone waits with bated breath. Will Luo Feng use his spirit master abilities?